Welcome to another edition of Journey of Hope. Stories of people that have been impacted by the healing ministry of Loma University Medical Center. People that have been on a journey. And a journey is a process. It's not an event. And many times we'll wake up in the morning and have no idea what lies ahead for us. Our special guest today is Sherry Field from Big Bear City, just up the hill from Loma Linda. She's got an amazing story, and she, like so many people, things have been going along fine, and then they find out from the doctor, they hear the sobering news, you have cancer. And all of a sudden, their whole world changes. But Sherry's got an amazing story that she's going to share with us. Sherry, it's good to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be
here. And we've
here.
got people really from around the world that are watching. And for our listening audience, tell us a little bit about where you're from and where you were raised. And
Okay. I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I was born and raised there, and grew up small town, and went away to the military.
So you went away to the military.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in the Army, mostly Army Reserves, but traveled around with a military spouse. So I've been a lot of different places. I served a little bit in post-Desert Storm at Camp Doha in Kuwait.
Did you?
Yeah. So met my husband back in my hometown right before I moved to Kansas City, Missouri for my job. And then as things slowed down for him there, he got a job in California, and we've been here ever since. It's been 10 years.
Okay. And tell us about your family.
I have a wonderful husband, been incredibly supportive through everything. I have a 15-year-old daughter, and I have an 11-year-old son named Dylan. My daughter's name is Samantha. And I have an 8-year-old son named Wyatt. They've just been tremendous blessings to me.
Okay. And you're living in Big Bear City, and things are going along fine with you and the family, and then, apparently something happened. Tell us what happened.
I found a mass in my right side that was tender and sore and was growing. So I went...
and we're talking about the right side. You're talking about your breast?
My right breast,
okay.
Yeah. And I went to my normal OBGYN and was told not to worry about it. Breast cancer doesn't hurt.
What?
Yeah.
Repeat that again.
I was told that it's okay, breast cancer doesn't hurt. It's probably just an infection of some kind.
Okay. Oh, because it was painful.
It was very painful.
Not to worry about it.
Right.
Because it probably wasn't breast cancer.
It was very tender mass.
Okay.
Yeah. And he said breast cancer doesn't hurt.
So it's not breast cancer, it's what he's saying there.
But he scheduled me for a mammogram, and also with the general surgeon at the local hospital. And she said she didn't think it was either, but she didn't like it, so she was going to take it out the next week. But she made the comment that if you're going to get a second opinion, now's the time to do it. Just
before, okay.
Yeah. So that kind of rung in my head. You never go into surgery with one opinion. So I immediately called the breast cancer center here, and they...
At Loma Linda?
Yes, they connected me with a wonderful surgeon, and we had a biopsy done, and from there it was just a roller coaster ride.
So one thing after another.
Yeah.
But I mean, tell me about the emotions that it must have impacted you, and let alone your husband and the kids. I mean, there's the possibility that you have cancer.
Yeah.
And then later on, apparently you had the diagnosis, and it did come back that it was cancer.
Yeah,
So,
my mother died, she was diagnosed when she was 49. And
with
breast cancer.
With breast cancer, okay.
Exact same side.
Same side. She was 49 when she was diagnosed.
I didn't live back home, so I don't know a lot of the details about it. But my first instinct was to be worried. But the doctor told me not to worry because breast cancer doesn't hurt.
And yours was
So
painful.
I stayed calm, We had the corneal biopsy, and I remember the young doctor walking in, and he just told me that I have infiltrating ductal carcinoma. Matter of fact, and he just kept right on talking about this, that, and the other thing, and I didn't hear a word of it.
You heard one word.
Yeah.
Cancer.
No, I heard carcinoma.
Okay.
And he didn't come right out and say cancer. And I was in my head analyzing that, saying, okay, carcinoma is carcinogen, carcinogen is cancer. I have cancer.
I mean, that's the process.
Yeah, I mean, literally. And my husband and my daughter were there in the room, and they caught everything I was missing while I was, internalizing and processing everything. But it ended up that because of the type of diagnosis I had, I was a good candidate for a study that did chemotherapy before surgery.
Kind of a clinical trial.
Yeah, clinical trial. And so I participated in the clinical trial, which meant I was to have 8 cycles of chemotherapy of a study drug before we did surgery. The goal was to see if they can shrink the tumor to where surgery can be minimal instead of, evasive,
Right.
and or radical. So we took off on that. I was diagnosed January 15th of 2008. I started chemotherapy, I think it was September, till we got everything rolling.
Okay.
We started in September. Had 3 cycles of a study drug. No, 4 cycles of a study drug, was doing fabulous.
And you say cycles.
Right.
What's a cycle?
Every 3 weeks I would go in and I would have to have intravenous chemotherapy. And then,
are we talking about for 10 minutes or 15 minutes?
Oh, I was there for a good 2 hours.
A good couple of hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I have to take 14 days of pills, which was
after that.
in conjunction with that.
In conjunction with that.
So I had one day where I sat in the chair, took the chemotherapy, 14 pills, 2 pills twice a day for 14 days. Then I had a week off, and then I'd go back and do it again.
Oh.
But it wasn't that bad.
Wasn't it?
No, it wasn't that bad at all. I had chemotherapy on Mondays, and Thursday and Friday I'd sleep all day. It was just
you're zonked.
sleep it off.
Yeah.
Saturday I was about half speed. Sunday I was back at it again.
And then when would your next treatment be?
It'd be another 3 weeks.
So 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So the first week, you
I had 2 bad
you kind of
days.
crash and you
Yeah.
have a couple of bad days, and then you kind of pick back up again. So then, did you have a couple of good weeks in between?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you did.
I still participated in my church. I still went to church on Wednesday night, and I did worship team practice Thursday after I slept all day. And
so you were part of the worship team.
I am
then.
part of the worship team.
Okay.
And I would show up Sunday, and I'd sing all Sunday morning. And people would look at me and they'd say they could not believe that I was doing cancer treatment. If they hadn't known me, they wouldn't have even known. I did lose my hair. That was fun. I had it really long. It was down below my shoulders. And when they told me that the type of chemotherapy I was going to have would make me lose it, I cut it short, probably about as short as it is now.
Okay.
And
now, was this before the treatments began?
this before the treatments.
Okay.
I didn't want big locks of hair and patchiness, So I cut it short. And then about the second week after my first treatment, everything hurt. It felt like I had my hair in a ponytail all day.
Pulling and
yeah.
tight.
And I put my hand in and I pulled out just a handful of hair. It was just falling out. So I called my friends and I said, it's time to have a shaving party. And we did.
So you became proactive. And
Oh, yeah.
You weren't going to wait till it fell out.
No.
Okay.
So
what happened when you said we're going to have a shaving party?
I had 3 friends show up, and we got out my hair buzzing, I don't know what you call it,
Yeah,
my trimmers, clippers, there you go. And so we just got the clippers out, and actually my kids all took turns shaving part of my head.
Did they really?
Yeah. My daughter was proactive. She helped a lot. And then each one of my kids got to try a little and take some of my hair off. And then when they were done with me, they wanted to have their hair shaved too. My husband had shaved his hair earlier that week in support.
To support
yeah.
you.
And my pastor, when he found out we were having a shaving party, shaved his head. And I had to laugh because I told him, I said, I'm really glad you're supporting and you've shaved your head, but I'm wearing a wig. So
they're shaving.
Everybody shaved, and I wore a wig. So
now, did you tell them before they shaved?
Yeah.
Okay, just
Yeah.
want to find out here.
Yeah, I told him. But anyways, I think we have a picture of my kids
Yeah.
right before they took the Bic razor to my head and made it really shiny. We took a picture of all three of us.
And there is real support. Now, in addition to this, your husband had shaved his head.
Yes.
And the pastor in your church.
Yes.
So everybody in the church knows what's going on.
Yes.
Are they praying for you?
My church was fabulous because sorry, I don't want to cry.
That's all right.
When I found out I was going to have to go, I had to text my pastor. He knew I was going in for the biopsy to get the results. And it was heartbreaking for them, you know. And I had dealt with it okay. But you never know other people's reaction when they hear the word cancer. And my response oftentimes is hard because I can't handle the reaction in their
Of other
face.
people?
Right, right.
So you emotionally respond to them.
Yes, yes. And so whenever he saw me that night, the first thing he did was hug me, but he hugged me with my arms down because he knew if he would have hugged me normal, I would have hit him for making me cry.
Yeah.
But my church is incredibly supportive. My pastor and his wife have kind of adopted me almost like a daughter, and he simply said, I can't imagine my reaction being any different if it had been my daughter calling me to tell me. And from then on, as the pastor's wife, she, wanted to know what the schedule was for chemotherapy. She had people cooking meals. She had people doing laundry. I had people in and out of my house doing little projects and cleanup,
So they're looking after you and
they
really
immediately started
supporting
taking
you.
care of me.
I mean, a real demonstration of Christianity.
Yeah, it was great. And my first week of chemotherapy, we had no idea how I was going to react to it. So I basically had babysitters at my house.
All prepared.
They were all hanging out. And it was good because the first nausea medicine they gave me, I had a really wild reaction to.
It was to prevent the nausea.
Yeah, to prevent the nausea, but I was allergic to it. So I was like schizophrenic. I mean, I was up, I was down, I couldn't hold still. I was getting itchy.
Really getting a reaction to it.
If they said if they hadn't have known me, they would have thought I had gotten some good street drugs because I was just like paranoid and moving. And so they had people watching me. But after we switched the nausea medicine and I got one that worked, it was almost like life was normal, except for I was pretty tired.
Yeah. Fatigue setting in.
So my husband was able to work, because everything was okay and the church was taking care of me. I mean, at times I would go and I couldn't find any of my laundry, and then all of a sudden it would show up on my front porch folded. So people would come in while I was sleeping and take my
the
laundry
stuff
and take care of it. And they were just really
preparing
awesome.
meals.
Yeah, I had a freezer full of meals. I had to tell them, okay, enough for the food right now. I don't have anywhere to put it. But they are incredibly awesome.
Now, I understand there's more than one kind of breast cancer, different kinds. And what was the type that you had?
I have what's called triple negative.
Triple negative.
When they diagnose breast cancer, they look for what it responds to. I don't know all of the medical terms for it.
Sure.
But they'll see if it's hormone fed, if it's estrogen or progesterone, or there's another one. I think it starts with an H. But anyways, if any of those hormones feed it, then you can be treated with hormone replacement therapy.
They want to develop a particular response mechanism. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, my type of cancer is not hormone fed. It will not respond to any three of the hormones. So they can't treat me with hormone replacement therapy. The only thing that works for me is chemotherapy.
Okay.
And there's some really scary things about being triple negative. I mean, if you look at, I've done a lot of research when I heard the term. It was just said, my oncologist said we need to add it to the chart that she's triple negative.
Was that the first you heard that
That
term?
was the first I heard it. And then starting to do research about it, I was devastated. I mean, I got really upset because triple negative is supposed to be one of the most aggressive kinds of cancer. It is known for early reoccurrence and oftentimes attacking organs, the brain, the bone,
metastasizing
in other places. So I was really kind of disappointed because I didn't find out about that till my treatment was done. And I wanted to be done forever. I just
Sure.
thought, I'm done
That's
forever.
behind me
I'm
and
clear.
moving ahead.
But looking back now, I think that bit of information has helped me because it helps me stay alert, that I don't want to ignore anything. I want to be proactive and get it taken care of if I'm having some type of symptoms or, you know, a little mass growing or something like that. I don't want to ignore anything because
Sure.
I risk the chance of making it worse if it is something.
And for our listening audience, for those women that are, I mean, being proactive and, you know, self-examination and you know, staying ahead of the
Right.
thing. So you went through the chemo. How many weeks?
It was supposed to be 8 months.
So, and we're talking about, would you say, how many cycles?
Would have been 8 cycles.
8 cycles, okay.
So just between 6 and 8 months. After the first 4 of the treatment drug, I was supposed to be switched to standard chemotherapy, you know, which was basically a comparison to prove how well the
One was worse than the other.
Right. The minute they put me on the standard chemotherapy, I started getting very sick.
Reacting to
Right.
the treatment.
And every time I had treatment, my nausea got worse, my fatigue got worse, the tumor started growing again. It was to where...
So, I mean, they could measure this.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, and it was at the 4th treatment of the study drug, it was relatively small. It was probably just 3 or 4 centimeters. Very manageable, not as dense and palpable as it was. They couldn't feel it as much. I was excited about that.
Yeah.
But
It looked like good news.
It looked like good news. But as we got more into the cycle, by the third cycle of the normal chemotherapy, I was so sick I had to be taken to the Big Bear City emergency room. I hadn't done anything different than I had done before. I'd taken my nausea medicine, but I could not stop throwing up. And I think that was the first time I was really scared. It was the first time my kids were really scared. To have, you know, come home and find mom laying on the bathroom floor just violently throwing up.
No control.
No control. And again, I called my pastor's wife. She was in the middle, I think, of a funeral or memorial or something. And all she said was, "What do you need?" And she had someone there within minutes that could take me to the emergency room. So, because my husband works, we live on the mountain, but he works off the mountain.
And he was,
so
he was away.
My church has been basically my care providers.
Sure.
But that was the first time. And then from there, I just knew, one of the doctors had told me that not having symptoms or reactions to chemotherapy is good because that means it's able to work and do what it's supposed to do. He said if I was having a lot of symptoms and a lot of reactions, then my body was fighting against it and it's not able to do what it's supposed to do. So I hit kind of a panic mode at that point.
Because you're fine, you got some of the symptoms in it.
I'm having really nasty side effects, and the tumor was growing. It was visibly growing. And after the 3rd cycle, the very next week, I called my oncologist and I just said, I don't think I can do this anymore. I think we need to move to surgery because it's not working. We did a quick examination. He agreed, moved right back with the surgeon. I'm really glad that we did at that point because we went from a 3 or 4 centimeter mass that by February, whenever we went into surgery, they had to remove 2 nodules of a total of 14 centimeters.
Wow.
So it had to be a radical mastectomy and lymph node involvement and everything.
So how is this impacting the family?
My family handled it really well. I think a lot of it was because I handled it well. The only experience my family had with cancer was watching my mother die.
And everybody remembers that.
And everybody remembers it. It's not that long ago. I mean, when I was pregnant with my son Wyatt, you know.
So it's recently then,
So
really,
it's recent.
relatively
And
speaking.
so that was the only thing they knew. And I knew that if I died, that it would be a death sentence no matter how great medical technology was.
Right.
If my daughter got diagnosed, because grandma
grandma,
died and now
mother.
mom died, and so I became a fighter really quickly. I kept a good attitude. People would send me motivational stuff, and my motto that I have on my refrigerator at home is it says a powerful woman's motto is when your feet hit the floor in the morning, Satan shudders and says, "Oh crap, she's awake." So I live by that. You know, I made sure I got up. You know, because any day I was down was a day I could get emotionally down too. So I tried to stay up and encouraging to my kids, and so that's just. I was an encouragement all around, and it was totally a God thing because.
So this isn't just putting on a good face. I mean, this is an attitude. And,
it was an attitude.
It's very, very real for you.
Yeah, and I had.
You're going to fight this thing.
I had weekdays, I really did.
Sound like you're normal.
But I didn't show them. You know, when I went to church, I could be up for 2 hours. I can smile and be an encouragement, and then I can just go home and sleep.
So the whole time you're still actively involved in the church, part of the worship team, up in front. People know about you and know that you've been sick and you've been treated and you've had cancer. And, you know, cancer is a diagnosis,
right?
Not a death sentence.
Right.
And, you know, one of the texts in the Bible says, you know, today is the day of the Lord.
Right.
Let us be glad and rejoice in it. All of us just have one day. It's today, never yesterday or tomorrow, and we need to learn to live every day. But you, it sounds like you've been a tremendous inspiration to the church.
Yeah, I've been called a hero, and that makes me feel so uncomfortable. But, I mean, if I'm able to inspire people to don't let it get you down, then that's the whole thing. I mean, it's like, I don't want people's memory of me to be one, well, you know, it's so sad she had cancer. I want it to be, you know, a celebration of my life because I fought. I went out kicking and screaming.
A fighter all the way.
Dug my heels in and said, "You're going to have to take me."
Yeah.
I'm not going willfully.
And, you know, and the battle does go on.
It does.
Yeah, the battle does go on. We don't know what the future holds, but we know who holds the future.
Absolutely.
And so as your journey continues, now, we haven't told our listening audience, but you are also a teacher for your children.
Technically, I'm a learning coach.
Okay, you're a learning coach.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have actual teachers.
Do they?
Yeah, but
you're homeschooling.
I do homeschool them, and I enjoy it. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life because their future depends on my ability to stay focused and keep them in their schoolwork. But I enjoy it, and because of my diagnosis and not knowing, you know, if I'm going to be dealing with reoccurrence this year, next year, I mean, I may never deal with it, and I really pray to God that I never have to go back there again. But I don't want to miss a moment, you know?
Say that again.
I don't want to miss a moment.
Okay, and so what are you doing?
We're doing the online school, and I'm just trying to enjoy life with them. My own little saying that I've picked up, that I heard it once and I just love it, that it's not about how many breaths you take, but it's about how many moments in life that take your breath away.
That is so true.
So I want to make memories with my kids, and I want to be laughing with them, having fun with them. I mean, my kids' friends think I'm a goofball.
Hey,
because we just
what a
have
compliment.
Fun. Yeah. They
so
look at me.
You're able to identify with the kids. The kids love you and
Yep.
love being around you.
And I don't want it to be, I'm trying to also be a good wife at the same time. I mean, my husband he's given up a lot, you know, to be down the hill and to be working, and I want to be an encouragement to him too. You know, it's not just about the kids, but he's been an incredible support to me. So I try not to be down and depressed and
Which
discouraged.
is tough at times.
When he walks in the door, don't want it to be a bad place for him to come home to. So.
Well, cancer is a family disease.
It is.
When one person has it, you know, the whole family is involved. And it sounds like, you know, God is taking you step by step, day by day, sometimes moment by moment.
Yeah.
Now, are you taking any medications now?
No. I've changed the way I eat. I'm eating a whole lot healthier now.
And when you say you've changed the way you eat, what do you mean? Are you kind of looking at a restricted diet?
I grew up a farm girl, meat and potatoes,
Okay.
you know, a lot of homemade bread. And so I've gotten to try to be more healthy. You know, we eat more vegetables, and I try to make the plate colorful now. and the kids are really awesome because they'll eat pretty much anything I put down, with a little bit of exception.
Oh, that's amazing kids.
Yeah. So, and we're learning to cook together.
Are you?
My 8-year-old's an awesome little chef. He makes creations all the time.
Oh, that is great.
We're
Well,
having
for our
fun.
listening audience, and look into the camera, what would you tell our listening audience, and particularly the women?
Okay.
Yeah, what would you tell them about their own health?
Don't wait for someone to tell you that you're sick. Be very proactive about it. Do your breast exams. Just monitor your own self. The mass that I found didn't show up on a mammogram. Infiltrating ductal carcinoma doesn't always, And if I can give you any advice, it's just enjoy life. Don't stress about stuff. And if you find something, get it checked out right away. But don't stress. I have a couple of friends who've come to me and say, I have found a lump. And I just look at them and say, no matter what it is, it's going to be okay. Don't stress about it yet. So just be proactive and
I think that's
do your
really the
exams.
important point that you're making here is be proactive, take responsibility for your own health.
Yeah.
And for those that are looking on, Sherry's shared the journey that she's been on. The journey continues. She doesn't know what the future holds. She does know who holds the future.
Absolutely.
And her church has been a tremendous support. And she's very conscious of the fact that God is guiding, directing, and leading. She's been a tremendous role model, not only for the community, not only for her church, but for other people that are around, because many people are watching us, and the testimony that we bear can bring honor and glory to God. And, Sherry has got a wonderful husband and family that are supportive of her. Till next week, God bless you each one.